We're about to hear from Masami Sato, the founder and CEO of B1G1. She was born in Tokyo. She lived in Australia for 5 years. These days she lives in Singapore, and today she was unable to be here. She is in Germany, so she's put together a video from Germany, which we are about to see. Let me tell you a little bit about her. She is an author. She is a 2-time TED speaker, founder and CEO of the global initiative B1G1, which helps businesses around the world give back in meaningful ways. Graduated in architecture in Japan. She travelled around the world. She cooked and baked for a living. She farmed. She worked as a teacher. She eventually ended up with her own business. Initially, it was a food business because she was, and still is, a passionate foodie. But then the idea of B1G1 was born. So she sold everything in Australia where she was then living and headed off to Singapore with her 2 children and started B1G1 as a global giving initiative. Imagine a cafe giving access to life-saving water for every single coffee that they sell. Imagine an accounting firm educating a child in need for every single client that they serve. That's the concept. Since 2007, B1G1 has worked with more than 2,300 businesses, and these businesses have created more than 150 million giving impacts to date and still counting. She likes running, watching tennis, going to the theatre. Her secret talent, though, is palm reading. Just a few months ago, she actually palm read Sir Richard Branson. We're about to meet her now on video. You can put your hands together. She won't hear you, but still put your hands together. Our number one B1G1, Masami Sato.
Hello, it's great to see you there. Thank you so much for being there. Sadly, I can't be there with you because I'm traveling from Singapore to Germany to attend another leadership event. But I'm excited to share with you a little bit about me and also an interesting topic. So let me share my screen. Now, this is what I do. My name is Masami Sato. I'm the founder of B1G1, which is also known as B1G1. We are a global giving initiative helping businesses around the world give in meaningful ways so that they can really embed the spirit of giving in their business. The examples of B1G1 businesses are like this. So if you imagine a coffee shop giving access to life-saving water for every coffee they sell, or a fashion brand giving access to education to children in need for every piece of fashion item they sell, or an accounting firm giving a goat for every client they create, and those goat for the family could mean increased income. So this is the world of B1G1, and B1G1 works with a lot of small businesses because small businesses have amazing power to change this world, but currently not many businesses, small businesses think so. So we focus on the power of small. Now, when we look at this big world, it's so easy to feel very small because we are just this, tiny speck right here. And the things that we see and experience could often mean overwhelming. These are the pictures of our problems and the challenges and the issues. So, for example, environmental distraction, poverty issues. The general perspective is that we see all these problems, and those numbers could be really overwhelming because we don't know what to do about them, even though if we know about this. So, to bring new perspective, let me show you different numbers. The white side shows global priorities. So the first one is access to education. So if we want to give basic education access to all children in developing countries who are currently not having those access, then we need at least $22 billion additionally each year to make that happen. The second one, $23 billion, is the amount of additional funding that we need to give access to sanitation and water to everyone in developing countries who currently do not have access to those things. The third one, $30 billion, is the amount of additional funding that we require each year to give basic nutrition to children in third world countries. Now, these are again quite big numbers, and we may not be able to fix it by ourselves. But the thing is, now I want you to compare these numbers with different set of numbers. The first one, $168 billion, is the size of publishing industry in terms of annual turnover in the world. The second one, $1 trillion, is the size of pharmaceutical industry. $568 billion is the size of fast food industry alone, not the entire food industry, just the fast food. So if we compare these numbers side by side and think about all the kinds of businesses out there doing different things in different industries, and when we start to compare these numbers, we start to see different picture. That maybe what's missing is not the ability for us to solve those problems, but what's missing could be connections, meaningful connections to link our power that we already have with meaningful, impactful giving opportunities to make a real difference and solve those problems. This is me in 2001 with my baby daughter. I started my business then because I wanted to make a difference. When I became a mom, I realized that my daughter could be any one of those children I saw on the street when I was traveling around as a young backpacker. So I wanted to do something in my own small way. And I thought one day I will give all the profit away to build a soup kitchen. So that was what I wanted to do. But then after working for about 5 years really hard, 16 hours a day, 7 days a week, and the business was starting to grow, but then I was still too busy. And by then, I was owner of a packaged food company in Australia, and we were selling frozen gluten-free meals to more than 150 stores in 3 of the states. But I was still too busy. I still didn't have enough time, a lot of money to give, and all the profit was going back into business. So I thought, if I continued that way, maybe in 10, 20 years' time, I would still be in the same place. But then one day, this idea came to me. What if instead of trying to do big thing, if I gave a little bit every day? So that was the idea of B1G1, buy one, give one. And we decided for every packet of meal we sold, we would feed a child. So in B1G1, as we developed, because what happened was I sold my food company eventually and then moved to Singapore from Australia and started the B1G1 as the global giving initiative to serve businesses. So we focus on today 3 things. The first thing is impact, second thing is habit, and the third thing is connection. So these 3 things makes B1G1 initiative really different from normal, just standard charitable giving activities. We really make sure that every giving that happens in our initiative will create a tangible impact, and we can monitor that, and we can help businesses create a giving habit rather than doing one big thing once off. And we want them, the businesses, to create a deeper sense of connection through their giving. This is an example of B1G1 project on our list, and we have more than 500 of those carefully selected high-impact projects. But you will notice that our project, the cost of the project are quite small. You can give 2 cents to give access to a playground to a child in Cambodia for 1 day, or you can provide access to sewing machine to a woman in Bangladesh for 1 day for 11 cents, and so on, so on, so on. So we break down significantly big impact into tiny micro giving unit so that any business, big or small, can say, oh, this is the way we want to make a difference, and we can embed that giving in our activities. This is one example of the way businesses create this thing called giving story, because it's about habit. So we want the businesses to create giving stories around their activities. And it doesn't have to be product or service. It could be that when we complete a project, when our team achieves something great, we want to help educate a child or empower somebody to have a greater life by having access to occupational training. Now, we try to make it really easy as well by developing things like mobile app to do the giving on the go, or create a template where businesses can create a gratitude certificate to share with their clients and customers, because they are part of making those great things happen. And here is a page showing the SDG categories and breakdown of B1G1 impact. So if you go there, you can see how many projects are in which categories and how many impacts are being created in B1G1. So this is the picture of B1G1 world. Today we have more than 2,300 businesses from so many different countries, and these businesses have created more than 145 million giving impacts. And this is the real power of small, because we work with lots of small businesses, and we work with relatively, small grassroots organizations to make those impact happen. And it's really amazing what can be possible when we connect all these small dots together. When I think about our business world, then I see this picture in my mind, because I think businesses are like these bumblebees flying around collecting nectar, making sure that our tribe will survive and thrive. But in one point in our business journey, maybe we've forgotten to do something as simple as pollinating flower. Businesses are making these transactions every day, benefiting the lives of people, all the consumers and people living in this world. So I hope you can start to see the new picture. And when you see pictures like this, these are no longer about huge problems that you cannot solve alone, but these are really the opportunities that we can together transform every day. Now, let me stop sharing. So thank you so much for sharing the last few minutes with me. And I hope that you will have many more perspective shifting moments from here as well. And if you want to find out more about what I'm doing, and please feel free to go to b1g1.com. And I look forward to connecting with you and hearing about your successes and discovery as well. Okay, thank you so much.